Hi, my name is Reagan. I'm a ninth grader from Governor French Academy, and my project was the effects of cadmium and zinc on Sonora C elegans. So what are C elegans? They're used in genetic research, and they're used for many different genetic research, obviously. Parkinson's, Huntington's, Alzheimer's, and multiple sclerosis are just a handful. They're used because they're less expensive than human models, obviously, and they're very easy to use and manipulate. They have a short life cycle, which makes them easy to use, and they're also easy to track. They also help us better understand the disease and look at possible cures for these different genetic diseases. So what was the purpose of my project? I want to work with these C elegans throughout my high school career. I wanted to start, since it's my first year working with them, I wanted to start with a more basic project, because next year I'd like to work with a lady named Betsy Bodeker, and she works with them in MS. MS is really dear to me because my mom has it, and so I want to see if I can somehow help people with MS or find some sort of things to help the scientists help people with MS. I also wanted to connect the thrash count for susceptibility for neurodegenerative diseases. So my observations. Whenever I was looking at these different worms, I used two different types. I used the mutant type and the wild type. So whenever I would look at them, I had a control and the zinc and cadmium. Looking at them through the microscope, I would count the thrash count within a 30-second time period. And these pictures down at the bottom, I saw all these pictures. How I would count a thrash count is whenever it would go into any of these positions and then return again to a straight line, that would count as one thrash. So these are my results. It was really, really interesting because I thought that, maybe both worms would be more sensitive to zinc or both worms would be more sensitive to cadmium, but I actually did not find that. The mutant type was more sensitive to zinc, while the wild type was much more sensitive to cadmium, which led me to my conclusion. So my conclusion is that the mutant type was the most sensitive to the zinc, which might lead into the possibility for the susceptibility of Alzheimer's, because whenever there's an increase in zinc, there has been a correlation with Alzheimer's. There was not a causation, but there has been a correlation. The same situation is true for the wild type being more sensitive to cadmium. Since they had the highest thrash count with cadmium, they might be more susceptible to getting Parkinson's. And Parkinson's also induces the spasms, which are kind of like the thrashes. Also, the zinc and the cadmium induce spasms. So whenever we are introduced to any excess amount of heavy metal, we have spasms or seizures. So these worms are kind of resembling the way that we react to these heavy metals. So for my future, I want to experiment more with the C elegans, and I really appreciate that I got to work with them this year. I feel like they helped me learn more about the different diseases, obviously, and they also helped me just recognize how similar they are to humans in the way that we react to the increase in heavy metals. And I'm really excited to work with Ms. Bodeker and hopefully learn more about MS. If I were to do this exact project again, which I do not plan on doing, but if I were to evolve on this, I would want to introduce more trials and extract a single worm, because then I feel my results would be more concrete. Thank you for your time. Does anybody have any questions?
Did you use zinc 2 and cadmium 2, or metallic cadmium and zinc?
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure metallic cadmium and zinc.
Okay. And what is, did you have a control set of worms?
I did. I had the control where I just added extra S buffer. Any healthy C elegans should thrash in any sort of liquid. So I just added an excess of S buffer, which is kind of like a happy solution.
And what do you see as your project for next year? Or do you have one yet?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I really do want to contact Ms. Bodeker and hopefully be able to talk to her and figure out where I can go with this. I do really want to use the C elegans again because I really did enjoy working with them. And so I'm excited to do it again next year. I'm not 100% sure what my project will be though.
Why did working with C elegans excite you?
Because It's gonna sound kind of immature, but it kind of reminded me of like a worm on a sidewalk. Like whenever it's a rainy day and you see a little worm wiggling, that's what it reminded me of, and I liked it a lot.
That's all right. That sounds like a good enough reason to me. All right. Thank you very much, Sage. We really appreciate it.